Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the show. Hope you had a great weekend. Let's check out the films from Friday and see if they popped or flopped. Okay, so here are the results. Looks like they did pretty well, what I was guessing, I guess. The Super Mario Galaxy, I said, would be in first place. If not, it would be in second. The budget was unknown. It looks like I said $200 million budget, most likely. It seems that it is actually at $110 million. Pretty wild. And so that did very well. Again, it looks like it's suffering from the plot. There's no story. Apparently the first one is better, even though it still suffers from the same kind of a thing. Just kind of interesting. What else? It looks like it really references the game. It's gonna... I actually was thinking, like, maybe for some reason it falls off because I don't know, like the parents are taking the kids to go see it and there's no adult jokes, which to me it's like I like film and I watch animated things even if it's for kids, and I don't care or even want adult jokes in it because I'm watching it for that story. Obviously I know what I'm watching, and I mean, it's like, I don't need that to enjoy a film. I like the movie. What I'm saying is maybe the parents are sitting through the movie and it's not entertaining to them, quote unquote, which is leading them to go like, hey, we're not going to see this movie again because, you know, there's no adult jokes, so they're not entertained. So they're left to focus on the negatives of the movie. And then they start to realize, what am I paying for? Yeah, my kid is being entertained, but I'm the one with the money, right? Whatever. They're not getting a good, like, anything good for the money. What are they paying for? It looks good, whatever. Where's the story? Where's the characterization, the arcs, whatever, or something? So I was thinking that maybe eventually in the next week or two, the movie actually falls off, and you know, which it probably won't, but I'm just saying, maybe this time around, maybe everyone realizes, wait a second, hold on. So I don't know, but I could be wrong because again, this is not for adults, right? It's for the kids, and they don't really care about those things in a way, which, I mean, if they put it in and then the kid watches it in 30, 40 years from now and watches it and goes, man, why did I like this when I was a kid? There's no story to it. There's no whatever, you see? Like, it looks good and whatever, and I enjoyed it and had fun, but now that I'm older, looking back, why did I like that? And then the cycle continues, and then they're going to take their kid to see the reboot of the Super Mario Galaxy movie with Chris Pratt's son, right? And then, you know, they realize, like, hey, wasting money here, and then just, you know, it continues. So I don't know. I had that thought. Maybe it actually falls off because maybe people realize that, like, hey, it's not whatever, but probably won't. Probably, I feel like it might not make $1 billion this time. Maybe make 700 million, you know, 800 right under it. Probably will make $1 billion if the first one made 1.2, 1.3. So that's pretty good and cool. The Super Mario Galaxy movie definitely popped the $190 million. That is pretty crazy. Project Hail Mary has now been pushed to second place. It will, what is it at 217? It could make half. I wonder what it is worldwide. It's probably closer to $1 billion. Well, no, it's probably closer to half worldwide, if not over. The drama actually came in third place, $14 million. And I said the budget is unknown. I said it's probably 30 to 40. So possibly this did technically flop, unless it's $10 million budget. Probably not. This probably is a higher budget because of Zendaya and Robert Pattinson. So I said it was going to make 70 million and probably end with 90 to 100. So I guess I was kind of wrong on that. Maybe it, I don't know. I thought maybe it would get more people there, more people have an interest. It looks like not really. Probably a fun movie. The reviews are saying that it looks like it's really good and stuff. It kind of falls apart at the end. So we'll see if that's really true. Then Hoppers is in 4th place, still doing very well. Reminders of Him, A Great Awakening, okay? It's the other film from Friday. From Roadside Attractions, I said that since the budget is unknown, it's probably, I want to say $15 million budget. And I actually said it was going to gross $2 million and come in 14th place. It has made $2 million. That's pretty good. I don't usually get pretty close. I said 2 million. It's at 2.1. Not terrible. Not a bad guess. It's at 1,289 theaters, though. That's not bad. In comparison to 464 for Durandar. And then Undertone. I think Undertone didn't have that many theaters either. I think at first. Definitely not 4,000 like Super Mario Galaxy. So, yeah, A Great Awakening. I guess technically it flopped $2 million. It's probably got a $15 or $20 million budget. So technically that movie flopped. It's probably a good historical movie like Nuremberg, which I haven't watched yet. I'm going to watch that. But those movies are good based off of history. It's good. Like if you like film, but you didn't like history class, right? Well, here's your chance. Like this is your thing, you know? So yeah, and then what else? So yeah, those are the 3 films really. Super Mario Galaxy movie popped with whatever it said, 190 million. It's gonna hit 200 this week probably, and then 300 or 400 next week. It probably will do. I feel like it's not gonna make $1 billion, maybe 800 million, but this is probably gonna be there for at least over a month or two, because I think even Avatar is finally going out. It's got 80 theaters left. 108 days it was there. So 30, 60, 90, that's 3 months. So this has, and in that time, it has made 404 domestic. So in 108 days. So then, yeah, so that Mario film will do quite well. Now we'll check out some new reviews for these films. Okay, here is the Super Mario Galaxy movie. Let's see if there is financial stuff. That's so weird. I only on the Weekly Planet podcast just dropped a new episode today, and they said it was $110 million budget. So it's not even on here. And worldwide it's made 272 with 190 domestically. So I think, so it's there. So 500 million in the next, gotta be in the next week. By next weekend, probably half. That means at the end of the month, it'll probably hit $1 billion, right? And that's only 30 days. So they're probably gonna, and then you think they're gonna leave it for 3 months like Avatar? Or when they hit the 1.2 billion, they're gonna pull it? Or after it hits the 3-month mark, then they're gonna pull it, which is gonna be way over 1.4 by the end of it. So we'll see if they do that. Here are some reviews for the Super Mario Galaxy movie. 333 reviews. First one is 7 out of 10. Good for nostalgic moments. See, that's what it is. At a cost of the story. I feel like you could put a little bit of story in it, you know? The movie is quite enjoyable. The music is great. It had impressive animation and world design, and also many nostalgic character appearances came in the movie. Too bad the story is average, and I feel it is quite rushed in the middle to the end part. Nintendo needs to slow down the pacing and give more background story for each of its characters, especially Yoshi, Fox, and Rosalina. Maybe extend the movie time to around 2 to 2.5 hours for the next movie. That's funny, though. I mean, if it's really entertaining, then you're not even going to notice 2 hours. You know? You're going to feel like, hey, this felt rushed at 1 hour, 45 minutes. It needs more time. Terrible script, beautiful graphics. Let's get this straight. Visually, this film is beautiful. But if you try to follow the story, you're very likely to fall asleep between the stars. The film has virtually no screenplay. From a technical standpoint, there's nothing to say. The graphics are beautiful. The music is equally beautiful. The problem is a screenplay absent. The film suffers from a chronic lack of a screenplay. It's not just poor, it's practically non-existent. Jeez. The characters move from the planet to planet without any real narrative motivation that ties everything together in a serious and developed way. Much of the dialogue is flat. The conflict development is non-existent, and the pace is disrupted by action sequences that, while spectacular, serve no purpose in advancing any of the characters. In short, the screenplay fails across the board. See, this is the critics' part, but the audience loves it. But the critics are the ones saying, hey, yeah, there's no story here. Yet, people will still give their money to it. It's crazy. 6 out of 10 had potential to become a great movie. The ending would have been clearer. There's actually an ending after all that. 7 out of 10, a good movie with much action. 7 out of 10, a familiar journey with enough fun to keep it going. I still don't really understand the people who strongly dislike this film. Even the first one, to the point of saying they hate it. The story is never offensively bad. It's just a very generic Mario Brothers plot. It's basically the same structure as the first film, just repeated with different characters. Okay. That repetition is honestly my biggest criticism. It doesn't make the movie terrible. It does, but it does make it feel less fresh. The charm on the second one does become lesser, as I found the pacing in the second part of the film a bit boring and slow. Fortunately, things pick up again when Fox McCloud, voiced by Glenn Powell, shows up, and things got a bit exciting again with all the fun and exciting action sequences, which I mostly enjoyed. I'm looking forward to Glenn Powell's performance as this character, because I already said in How to Make a Killing, he's such a weird actor, and he's got a great voice, and I think he could definitely voice Bruce Wayne. I'm sure there's a lot of other characters, so we'll see if he really does that, because I think that he could definitely have that as like his other thing. He does really, really good voice acting. So we'll see. I mean, the kids aren't going to know this guy, and they're going to, if his voice stands out, which I think it kind of does in a way, they're not going to know. The adults are going to be like, is that Glenn Powell from How to Make a Killing? You know what I mean? The adults are going to know, and I haven't heard anything about Glenn Powell's performance. I feel like that would be a real standout thing that people are keeping an eye out on, because he's fairly a new actor in a way, and he's kind of, getting more popularity in a way. So, I haven't heard anything about, hey, Glenn Powell really has a standout performance in that movie. So, I don't know. Hopefully we'll see some of that stuff. This continues saying, and of course the animation is consistently great. Visually, the film looks beautiful, and that's easily its strongest aspect. It's something I generally appreciate throughout the entire movie. Overall, I still find these Mario movies to be decent, entertaining, adventurous, especially for kids. But adults like me, though, if they keep repeating the same formula, it's going to feel more and more uninteresting over time. I still slightly prefer the first film, but not by much. As I'm saying, the kids are going to go up and they're going to look back and be like, why did I like this movie? There's no story here. Nothing's going on. It looks cool, though. And I think that is going to be a downfall, and like a negative, like a real issue, that they could have just put in a tiny story that, keep all the stuff, but put in a story. I don't get that. If they make a third one, which I'm sure they are, just make sure that it's not about someone being kidnapped again. Keep the animation quality as it is, but bring something more creative and interesting and exciting to the story. In the end, the Galaxy movie is another decent follow-up adventure for the Super Mario Brothers characters that still had enough of its moment for me to mostly recommend and enjoy personally, while it still repeats the same tale. 6 out of 10 fan service. 5 out of 10 the cinematic version of browsing through a product catalog. Jeez. Overall, I thought the movie was pretty underwhelming. To be fair, this is coming from someone who is not a hardcore Nintendo fan. I have not played Super Mario Galaxy, though I have casually played enough Nintendo games to at least recognize most of the characters being introduced. The direction of this film feels quite different from the first one. It leads more heavily into action, and the characters are treated more seriously, though still only within the limits of video game logic. That is not necessarily a bad thing, but it did not do much for me. The biggest issue is that the plot feels weak for most of the runtime. Much of the movie is just characters running around trying to find each other when it almost feels as if Much of the movie is just characters running around trying to find each other when it almost feels as if everyone simply stayed where they were. The whole conflict would have been resolved in 10 minutes. It reminded me of a group of friends going to a bar together only to spend the rest of the night wandering around and trying to regroup. There is a strangely aimless quality to it. That's a funny comparison. The short runtime also hurts the cast. The characters are thrown into the story without enough time to properly establish themselves, almost like new employees being dropped straight into work without any onboarding. It gives the impression that Nintendo and Universal are completely confident that the audience already knows and cares about these IPs. For example, Yoshi joins the group almost immediately as if we are just supposed to accept it, even though casual viewers might want a bit more build-up or explanation. That's hilarious. Another problem is that the characters still behave almost entirely according to video game logic, even while the story tries to raise the stakes and present itself as something more serious. Most of them barely have enough time to show off their abilities, let alone develop real personalities, because the film is constantly moving from one location to another. In that sense, the plot feels less like a story and more like an excuse for Nintendo to parade its collection of characters and references across the screen. It often feels like the film is saying, do not worry about the narrative, just enjoy all the recognizable characters and shiny fan service moments. But if you're not fully invested in that, it leaves the experience feeling hollow. The characters' motivation and actions are not completely unbelievable, and I can follow the logic behind what they do. But the film still feels thematically inconsistent. It is hard to pin down any strong or coherent message. Instead, it plays more like a glossy display of Nintendo branding. Watching it felt a bit like walking through a shopping mall and looking at attractive products in the window. It is not an awful experience, but it also does not leave much of an impression. Even Mario and Luigi come across as bland in their own movie. In fact, because the film is so busy advertising its wider cast and universe, most of the characters end up feeling a bit flat. Peach stands out more than the others, but that only invites comparisons to how limited Rosalina's screen time and importance feel. In the end, the movie feels like the cinematic version of browsing through a product catalog. If that sounds appealing, you may get some enjoyment out of it. For me, though, it was neither especially good nor especially bad, just thoroughly mediocre. Wow. 5 out of 10, a movie with great visuals, but the story, 10 out of 10. Before Yoshi, there was Mauser. Visually breathtaking narrative, nothing burger, 3 out of 10. Here are the Rotten Tomatoes for the Super Mario Galaxy movie. It looks like the audience loves it, of course, against the critics who have given it 42%. Splats, whatever. That's so... That is really wild. Critics' consensus says, packed with colorful world building that's as frenetic as it is weightless, the Super Mario Galaxy movie's visuals are often out of this world, but the threadbare story ultimately loses its Milky Way. Wow. The audience says, Mamma Mia, Nintendo nostalgia hits again in the Super Mario Galaxy movie, delivering Easter eggs, joyful wonder, and a spirited cast that makes this an instant replay? Oh, okay. I don't think there's replay if there's... I don't know, maybe... See, that's the thing, though. Maybe because it's a video game, it just doesn't need a story. You know what I mean? The point isn't to have Mario secretly be in love with Princess Peach or whatever, right? Or Luigi is, or Yoshi is, and then they fight, and then there's conflict, and then they probably make Princess Peach lesbian, right? You know what I mean? And then she's a girl boss or whatever. Who knows? But that's not the point. The point is to reference the game. The camera goes to the side, and it looks like the Game Boy Color game, or you know what I mean? Or the game, you know, when you hitting the little boxes, or, you know, whatever, right? All that stuff. Game stuff, you know? So that's probably the point. And, you know, so maybe I don't get it. Like, it's weird. It's weird because of this. When you make a movie, there's requirements for the movie, right? So, and it's just like, this is a video game movie. So I don't know. It's tough. It's such a weird thing. The point in the end is to make money, right? And this is making money, you know, at a cost, I guess. So some critics reviews are from Sarah Michelle Fetters. Now from MovieFreak.com, gave it 1 out of 4 splat, saying I found it all deeply annoying. Wow. See, what I don't understand too, it's like I watch movies and I go, oh, this isn't a good movie or whatever, but I still have fun with it. You know, my podcast, Good or Good Enough, is because I don't think all movies are like trash. I just think that movies are entertaining. They just have some issues in them. You know what I mean? Like, yes, some movies are bad, but there's always something enjoyable in them. There's always something good in them. Hence my name of the podcast, Good or Good Enough. You know, I like a lot of films. I like a lot of movies that are bad that I think are good. A lot of people don't like James Gunn stuff. They don't like The Suicide Squad. I think that is an incredible film. Like, it has a lot of good stuff in it. You know, but apparently it wasn't something, right? Superman. I like Superman. And a lot of people do, right? But apparently it has a lot of issues and all this stuff, right? So that's why I say it's like Superman. Everyone did like it. I don't think it's trash, but it's not amazing, right? But it's good enough, see? So, but I feel like that these people seeing this movie, I found it all deeply annoying. You didn't find one thing, you didn't laugh or have fun at all. Really? One thing didn't make you laugh. Really? Your mouth didn't go up a little? Like, you know what I mean? It's just not possible. There would be something clever in it. Even if it's one thing, it's something you never thought of. It's something you never would have, you don't think like that. You would never would have, you know, imagined that. So I don't get why, like, we find it annoying. Yeah, there's no story, but it's like Minecraft. That movie was hilarious. I play Minecraft, therefore I get the references and all the things. The one that thing that blows up, right? The creepers and all those things. The tarantula, you know, it's just hilarious. You know, that one kind of had a story in it, slightly, sort of, you know. But again, yeah, I don't know. I don't think these need a story, and I don't think that these critics are seriously not finding something in it funny. Yeah, there's no story, whatever. But did you have a good time? You still didn't find it? I mean, yeah, maybe it doesn't have the weight, the emotional weight, you know, the feeling. But, I mean, it's probably, you know, the Easter eggs and stuff and all the other references, there's got to be something good in it that you found, you know, entertaining. This other one is from Christy Puchko from Mashable. She gave it 1 splat, saying, we all have a finite amount of time on this earth, and I cannot think of a single reason why you should spend any of yours on the Super Mario Galaxy movie. You know, the thing is it could be really bad, like completely devoid of a story. Like, but it looks like there is one. But some people are saying there's zero screenplay. That could be the thing where the first one, even if it is no story, it is technically better than this. You know, why I had the thought earlier is that maybe this movie drops off in a week. Actually, you know what I mean? For the first time. Maybe it's actually, like, yeah, it's a big hit, you know, but what if it actually doesn't hold up? You know, that could happen. Here's some audience reviews. Christina gave it 4 out of 5 stars, saying, we brought 4 kids around age 12 and all of them enjoyed it. The theater was filled with kids aged 5 and up. Yeah, okay. I mean, see, Kailito gave it 4 out of 5 stars, saying Mario Galaxy was a really fun movie. It's jam-packed with a ton of references that made me smile. Yeah, well, anyway, the Super Mario Galaxy movie popped with 190 million. Pretty wild. Yeah, I'm thinking that maybe it's going to fall off just for that reason that the story is like seems less than the first one, which is like no story, which is might actually be bad. So the Super Mario Galaxy movie popped with $190 million and came in first place. Okay, so the drama, until we find out the budget, I guess technically it flopped with 14 million. I feel like it'd be a 30 to 40, what I say? $30 to $40 million budget. I feel like, so we'll see. I said it was going to make 70 million. And that it would come in 5th place, and it actually came in 3rd place, so not bad. I'm pretty surprised. Well, no, I guess it would be a top 5 movie. You know, 2 big stars, not a bad-looking movie poster. It got some hype around it. Okay, so here's the final numbers. Gross 14 million, 26 worldwide. That's still under, I feel, it has to be a $40 million budget, right? Pretty low, but kind of high. Too high that it didn't make it, you know? Here are some reviews for the drama. It has 101 reviews. 10 out of 10. Best film of the year so far. Wow, okay. Interesting. Wow, you know, after watching the Super Mario Galaxy movie, this movie was a total whiplash. This is more like it. This is proper cinema. This was such an absolute treat. Oh my gosh, dude. This movie blew my mind. It was so well written. It was so well acted. It was so well directed. A very artsy movie. All Audi actors did a great job. My gosh, you guys, I was just floored by the creativity and just an intense drama from this movie. My gosh, you guys, I did not know any of the events that were going to play out in the movie, and I loved it, and I won't lie. I actually want to see more Zendaya project in the future, as she is a fantastic actress. Even Robert Pattinson did a great job, possibly one of his best performances I've seen in any movie. While I do wish the film was longer, as the drama was so interesting, I'm glad the movie wasn't too long, as I feel that was the best runtime for the film. 10 out of 10, highly recommend it. This seems like he's being sarcastic here, doesn't he? Or this person? A boy dude reviews. Oh, maybe that's like his thing. Like, this movie blew my mind, whatever. So it sounds like he's being sarcastic. I want to see more. She's really good. So maybe she is. Maybe she took somebody coached her or whatever and gave her some tips maybe. That's cool. So it's focused on the drama part, which means it's very clever drama, right? Like, she looked at you or whatever, or why'd you look at her? Or, right? I guess maybe stuff like that. But it's really good. It's probably like really cleverly written and all that. So that's cool. That's a good review. 8 out of 10. Very dramatic indeed. There's only so many horrible things that a person can do, but I was still shocked by what Zendaya's character admits in this film. And that reveal made for a surprisingly thought-provoking movie. I'm sure the subject matter won't work for everyone, but I admire how writer-director Christopher Borgli is actively trying to incite conversation here. That's good. I'm looking forward to having some heated debates with my own friends and colleagues about this one. That's cool. Drama in and out of the theater. 9 out of 10, the past truth comes out and then the drama unfolds. One day, Charlie meets Emma at a diner, and the two quickly begin a romance, and within all that become engaged to be married. But then one night at a dinner with friends, all start to admit certain bad moments of their past, and soon their love is put to the test, and will it survive? Pattinson and Zendaya really give good performances, really displaying such strength and vulnerability. The film is a tension builder when you're not sure how it's going to go. I admire the way the movie asks, should we let bad moments of our past define who we are now? Interesting. 8 out of 10. Wow, it's so effed up. It's so effed up and real at the same time. It's deeply unsettling throughout its entire runtime in the best possible way, keeping you completely glued to it. But it's definitely not going to be a crowd pleaser. All the performances were great across the board, but Rob absolutely steals the show. A24 straight up cooked with this one. A24, hit or miss. Okay, I'm not going to read any more. 8 out of 10, 5 out of 10. Came in high expectations. Left underwhelmed. Wow. 3 out of 10, 8 out of 10, 8 out of 10, 7 out of 10, 7 out of 10. Well, dang, that was bad. Wow. Interesting. I don't know what to think. Here are the Rotten Tomatoes for the drama. It actually is liked on both sides. Wow. 77% from the critics, 81% from the audience, even though you just saw some bad reviews. Wow. This might actually be good then. Really? That is really wild. Wow. Critics' consensus, flirting with complex themes, the drama walks a tonal tightrope with impressive poise thanks to career highlight performances by Robert Pattinson and Zendaya. Wow. I was saying a big part of this movie is going to come down about the casting. If Zendaya and Pattinson really have good chemistry on screen, do they look like a good couple that we would ship, right? That like we would be like, hey, these two look really good on camera. Like, are they actually together? That's what you want to think. Or you even feel bad that they have issues and you want them to be together in the end. That means that it's very well cast and believable. Now, here are a couple of the critics' reviews that look negative. Sarah Michelle Fetters, again from MovieFreak.com, gave it 1.5 out of 4 splats, saying, while there's plenty of food for thought, by the time the cinematic meal concluded, I still felt famished. Even worse, I was angry at Borgley for cooking up such a frustratingly unsatisfying banquet in the first place. I mean, not all movies have to really end in a specific way. They have to end in a way like Dog Day Afternoon. Don't rob a bank. You know, like, it has to end in a way that makes you think. If you leave the theater and you're like, man, I'm going to be a better person, well, that's good, right? That's a good thing. So this review could be like, it's cooking up a frustratingly unsatisfying banquet. Like, frustrating, right? Maybe frustrating in the writing way, but these 77%, 81% proves that wrong. Obviously, something here works, right? Perhaps these people who didn't like it can relate or have PTSD maybe, or, you know, are familiar with that or lived through this issue, you know, like a domestic abuse type of a drama thing, you know, whatever. Christy Putchko from Mashable gave it a splat, saying, but much like Dream Scenario, his actors give more than his undercooked script deserves. Jeez. This sounds like they know each other. Much like Dream Scenario. I gotta watch that. Christopher Borgley's previous work. Peter Travers from the Travers Take gave it 2.5 out of 4 tomatoes, saying Zendaya and Robert Pattinson bring a bracing charge to turning a rom-com about wedding jitters into a deep dish thinking piece about the limits of condoning violence. Real or imagined, the ending doesn't work. I heard that. See? People are saying the ending has an issue. So there's violence? Real or imagined? Oh. Maybe that's a spoiler. Nate Adams from The Only Critic gave it a B tomato. The drama argues that forgiveness is possible, even necessary, but only if we are willing to sit with the discomfort of how messy and human that process actually is. Wow. You know, this could be a very relatable movie in a way. And here are some audience reviews. Martin gave it 4 out of 5 stars, saying intriguing, something to think about. I appreciate Robert Pattinson and Zendaya even agreeing to do the movie. Wow. Tim H gave it 1 out of 5 stars, saying I haven't walked out of a movie in 50 years. but it had to be done. Possibly the oddest film ever made, and not in a fun way. Has no one seen Friendship? Does anyone know who Tim Robinson is? You know, like, not all movies have to be like follow the same formula. Experimental film is really awesome. You know, like being different, just doing things the same way and then filming something different so it doesn't feel the same is, you know, a good thing. So those are the reviews for the drama, which for now flopped with 14 million. There's no way the budget could be low. So I'm going with that. This movie flopped, and it actually came in third place, which is very surprising. And the last film is A Great Awakening, which I guess didn't really hit as well as it should have hit. It came in sixth place with 2 million, which is what I said. Sixth place. I mean, not bad. It came in the top 10, but yeah, it made not a lot, and it's got to have a high budget, most likely. Pretty cool that here's the actual financials. So, wow. It looks like it didn't even get any other... Didn't get much marketing or anything, really. Cool. And here are the reviews for A Great Awakening. 15 reviews. 10 out of 10, not propaganda. An excellent movie. This movie is the farthest thing from a retelling of the history of the evangelical preacher George Whitefield and Benjamin Franklin's relationship. It revolves around an unlikely friendship between a believer and a non-believer and their ability to enjoy each other while navigating the tension of their opposing beliefs. This is nothing like a tent revival meeting with a sappy, swelling score. Thankfully, Whitefield is not portrayed as a martyr, but as a very broken man with his own issues, trying to share a gospel message he believed in. Everyone needs Jesus. It highlights the complex feelings among the Continental Congress over the issue of religion. Anyone who says differently has not actually seen the movie and must simply enjoy whining about things they don't agree with. Wow. The movie is worth your time. The plot is excellent. The cinematography is wonderful, and the acting is impressive. Cool. 10 out of 10. I had no idea what this movie was going in. My husband said something about Ben Franklin, and I like history, so that's all I needed, but wow. There you go. Why have I never heard of George Whitefield before? Or Whitfield? I have read Benjamin Franklin's autobiography, so GW must have been mentioned. I will have to go back and read through it again. As a Christian, the story of anyone's conversion is uplifting and joyous, and this film brought me along to witness the light of Christ's awakening George, the beautiful majesty that is a soul devoted to spend his or her life in the service of that Lord who liberated each one of us, the captives of sin. I walked out of that theater more devoted to serve my fellow man in order to serve my God in gratitude for the gift of his son, who suffered for me so I can be free. I don't think I have ever walked out of any movie feeling as filled with peace and love and hope as I did yesterday. Go see this film. You won't be disappointed. Take your family. People must know. Very interesting. 9 out of 10, important part of our history. 10 out of 10, home run to this project. 10 out of 10, watch it in the theater while you can. Wow, it looks like the right people went to see this movie. Look at all the reviews. They're all high. Oh, no. And then this is the one people are saying. I think I read this one already. 1 out of 10, propaganda. This is a slick retelling of the history of the evangelical preacher George Whitefield and Benjamin Franklin's relationship. It plays like a tent revival meeting complete with a sappy, swelling score, makes Whitefield out to be a martyr and ignores a complex set of feelings among the Continental Congress over the issue of religion, pandering, hagiography, waste of time. I think this is the one that the guy up here, I guess, quoted verbatim. Is that what he wrote? Like, he copied it. This movie is the farthest thing from a retelling of the history of evangelical preacher George Whitefield and his relationship. Tent revival meeting with a sappy, swelling score. So this guy is referencing the guy down there. He must have said, I'm going to see this movie and see what that guy is talking about. They saw the movie, and it turns out that he is referencing this guy who actually doesn't know what he's talking about. This guy must have, you know what I mean? Went in and just had a different thought and said, it's not what they're doing. That's what they're doing here. This is propaganda. Blah, 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 blah. And then this guy up here probably reviews movies and said, well, I'm going to go see the movie, whatever. We'll see about that. They saw it, and boom. Here's his response. So that's interesting. Very funny. Here are the Rotten Tomatoes for A Great Awakening. Liked on both sides. Pretty interesting. 64% from the critics and 97% from the audience. Wow. I didn't make a lot of money, but it's in the top 10. So that's definitely good. Maybe it'll hold up enough that the people who have seen Super Mario Galaxy and the drama are saying, hey, we're going to go see a movie, whatever. Let's also see A Great Awakening. That's still there. And then it can help it, which will help keep it afloat. Here are some of the critics' reviews. Glenn Kenny from the New York Times gave it 1 tomato, saying, it's an earnest account of a religious movement that still resonates. Joel Copling from Spectrum Culture gave it a splat, saying the message overpowers anything else in A Great Awakening. What? The message? Maybe this guy saw it with that other guy from IMDb who gave it that initial review. Well, this is 8 hours ago. This Glenn Kenny over here is 3 days ago. Well, then I don't know. Interesting. Maybe the guy who did the initial review is correct, and the one I just read at the end works for the studio. And there is a message in it, like the guy was saying, and that guy works for the studio, and he's going to put up a fake review to, steer us wrong. That could be a thing, Debbie Lynn Elias from Behind the Lens gave it 4 out of 5 tomatoes, saying A Great Awakening arrives not merely as a historical drama, but as a cinematic excavation of a spiritual movement that helped ignite a revolution, both of the soul and of a nation. Interesting. Mark Jackson from Epoch Times gave it 3 out of 5 tomatoes, saying the faith-based and hagiographic historical drama A Great Awakening tells Calvinist Methodist preacher George Whitefield's life story largely by way of his friendship with Benjamin Franklin. Okay, and then the audience reviews. B gave it 5 stars, saying it's important to see just how much our early Americans gave to make the United States a democracy. Doug gave it 5 stars, saying, was blown away by this movie. Totally unexpected quality, soul, and vividness. Highly recommend to all. Nice. And those are all the reviews of A Great Awakening, which came in 6th place and made $2 million. I do have a feeling that maybe it can kind of stay afloat for another week and maybe make a little bit more money. Probably going to end with $5 million total. So A Great Awakening flopped with $2 million and came in 6th place. So the Super Mario Galaxy movie came in 1st place and popped with $190 million. It has mixed reviews. It looks like it decided not to go with the story this time again and go with fan service. So the Super Mario Galaxy movie popped with $190 million and came in 1st place. The drama flopped with $14 million and came in 3rd place. Pretty surprising, but it did have kind of some hype behind it. It seems to be liked by the critics and the audience, but it flopped with $14 million, but came in 3rd place. A Great Awakening also flopped with $2 million. It looks like it's very well produced, as well as having a good story. The audience and the critics both like it. But A Great Awakening flopped with $2 million and came in 6th place. And here are the next films that are coming up on the 10th, Thursday. We're going to be checking out Faces of Death from IFC Entertainment Group, Hunting Matthew Nichols from Drop Shock Pictures. I've never heard of them. And then You, Me, and Tuscany from Universal. And then a bunch of these other limited ones will be there as well. I haven't heard anything about these movies, actually. They don't really seem like eye-catching titles. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of weird. So that's what I'm saying. Maybe A Great Awakening will have a chance to be seen, because if these movies are big titles or bring people in, then the other movies are going to be making all the money. And that wraps up this episode. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Comment down below, and I will see you in the next episode. Peace.